You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper than again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Naruto Enters Xiaolin Showdown. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of KFB Anime 87 on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Once all the Wu were placed back in the vault, the dragons in training were all kneeling before Master Fong and the other monks. My young apprentices, you have proven your worth by defeating Mala Mala John. You are ready to move on to the next rank of Xiaolin apprentice, Master Fong said, making them all smile before he handed a blue sash to Omi, Kimiko, Clay and Naruto, before he turned away from them. Master Fong, do you not know my sash size? Raimundo asked curiously. I'm afraid you're not ready yet, Raimundo. You disobeyed my orders to flee, and put everyone in danger because of your foolishness. I suggest you take this time to meditate on your actions, Master Fong said firmly, before he left the room. Raimundo's jaw dropped at this, while the others frowned as they approached him. I'm so sorry, Kimiko said, as she tried to comfort him. Raimundo pulled away from them. Hey, it's no big deal. If that's the thanks I get for trying to save his sorry hide, then fine, he yelled, as he walked away to leave. Naruto said, as he tried to stop Raimundo from doing something foolish. No, I'm sick of this place. I never should have left Brazil. Raimundo said with a glare, before he stormed out of the room. Should we do something? Kimiko asked the others as she frowned, as she didn't like leaving things so tense. No Kimiko, he has to walk this path alone, Omi said, holding a hand up. As Raimundo walked through the courtyard, he didn't see Wuya following after him. Ha. So, history may be repeating itself. Though the reason may not be as good as in the past, Wuya said, as she flew off. The next day. It was morning at the temple, and Naruto was in the Shingongwu vault, wearing his new apprentice sash, while he was meditating near Sophia's shelf. I'm curious child, Sophia said, as she and Naruto talked in his mindscape, like they always did. Sophia, I said to call me Naruto, Naruto said as he sighed. Why did you take me with you when Mala Mala John was on his way? I'm not useful to you like the other Shingongwu, Sophia asked, as she glared at Naruto suspiciously. Huh? What kind of question is that? Naruto asked, as he tilted his head in confusion. I took you with me 'cause you're my friend, and I refuse to let that old witch get control of you and use you like a tool, he said, referring to Wuya. Sophia looked into Naruto's eyes, and saw he was being truthful before she gave a smile. Heh. Ha 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 ha. Sophia laughed at this, as she didn't actually expect this answer, despite the past months of talking to Naruto. What? What's so funny? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Nothing, Naruto. Now, what is your question for the day? Sophia asked, as they both like to ask each other a question once a day. Heh, you used my name. You like me now, Naruto said as he smiled. Your question, Naruto, Sophia said simply, not answering this. Okay. Do you know anything about the Uzumaki family? Naruto asked, hoping Sophia would know something. Sophia paused at this. I haven't heard that name since the old days, when Dashi and his team were around, she said as she reminisced. You knew one? Naruto asked hopefully. Well, I knew of one. She was the dragon of fire back in Dashi's day. I never got her name though, Sophia said, as she shrugged. Naruto paused in shock at this, before he smiled brightly. That's so cool. One of my ancestors was a Xiaolin dragon, he said happily. Sapphire smiled a little at this, as she was glad to give Naruto some information on his family. Naruto. We have training. Kimiko yelled out. Indeed, my friend. Master Fong has something to show us. Omi called out. Get a move on, partner. Clay yelled. Naruto got up and stretched. Okay, I'll see you later, Sapphire, he said, as he smiled at her. See you soon, Naruto, Sapphire said simply, as Naruto made his way out of the vault. Outside. Naruto made his way out of the vault, and ran over to where the others were sitting, waiting for Master Fong. What kept you, partner? Clay asked curiously. Yeah, you look most happy today, my friend, Omi said, as he noticed Naruto's bright smile. Oh, I found some information on the Uzumaki family, Naruto said, as he sat down next to Kimiko. That's wonderful, Naruto. Kimiko said as she smiled at Naruto, knowing he really wanted to know something about the Uzumakis. Yeah, regale us with your find, Raimundo said with a flat tone, as he played a video game. Naruto ignored this, as he knew Raimundo wasn't mad at him. Get this, an Uzumaki was the dragon of fire back in Dashi's days, he said, as he smiled in excitement. This got surprised looks from everyone, even Raimundo, but he didn't show it. Tarnation. So your family has been in the world-saving business for years, Clay said, as he smiled at Naruto. Ah, the dragon of fire back then must have been very talented to work with Dashi himself, Omi said, as he nodded with a grin. Then why don't you have a name? Raimundo asked with a flat tone, as he figured Naruto didn't have a name, since he still wasn't allowed in the restricted section of the library yet. Naruto frowned at this but ignored Raimundo, as Master Feng and Dojo approached. Okay, my young apprentices, today we will be learning a new technique on your journey as the new chosen ones, Master Feng said, while Dojo unrolled a scroll, revealing the orb of Tournami, the star of Hanabi, the third arm sash and the golden tiger claws. Hey Master, since this is only for the great Xiaolin apprentices, can I go do something that matters? Raimundo asked, as he put away his game. This got frowns from his fellow teens and Dojo, as while they understood he was upset, the disrespect was really getting to an unacceptable level. No Raimundo, you can still learn, even if you're not an apprentice, Master Fong said firmly, before he picked up the star of Hanabi. Now Kimiko, will you come here, he asked the dragon apprentice of fire. Kimiko got up and approached Master Fong, who handed her the star of Hanabi. Now, please use this Wu. But when you call out its name, say your element right after, he said, as he pointed at some training blocks nearby. Kimiko nodded at this, before she readied her arm. Star of Hanabi, fire, she yelled, as she threw the Wu, which engulfed itself in fire as it flew at the training blocks, and easily burned through them, before it flew back into Kimiko's hand. Whoa! Clay said, impressed with this display. Clay, do the same with the third arm sash, Master Fong said, as Dojo handed him said Wu. Third arm sash, earth. Clay yelled, which caused the Wu to reach out like normal at a wall, but as it moved it turned into solid rock and punched the wall, making a hole in the wall. Wow! Can we do this kind of thing with all Wu? Naruto asked, as he found this impressive. I'm afraid each of you will be more suited to certain Wu than others. You, for example, will be more suited to a certain Wu you visit daily, Master Fong said with a knowing look at Naruto, as he handed Omi the orb of Tournami. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise at this, as it was obvious that Master Fong was talking about Sapphire. What will happen if I combine my element with her, he thought to himself, while Omi approached a training dummy. Orb of Tournami, ice. Omi yelled, as he fired a blast of water, which engulfed the dummy before it instantly froze. Wow, an extra word. No wonder it's reserved for the apprentice level, Raimundo said, as he rolled his eyes. Kimiko said, as he shook her head, along with Clay and Naruto. Do not worry, my friend. I will dedicate my time to training you, so you are not as weak as us. No matter how long it takes, Omi said with a smile. Naruto flinched at this, as he could see Raimundo's eyebrow twitch at how Omi was sounding very condescending. Oh wow, Omi. Do you think I could be as great as you someday? Raimundo asked with a very fake enthusiastic tone. No, you will never be as great as me, Omi said with a smile. Naruto slapped his forehead at this. Raimundo scowled at this, before he got up. You know what, Omi, you have convinced me, he said, as he approached the Wu on the ground. I have. Have I convinced you to try harder? Omi asked with a tilt of his head. No. You convinced me to get out of this hellhole, Raimundo said, as he grabbed the golden tiger claws, before putting them on his hand. Golden tiger claws, he yelled, out before he slashed the air and jumped through the portal he made, which soon closed behind him. Everyone was surprised at this, as they didn't expect Raimundo to actually leave. Naruto scowled at this, before he approached Omi and smacked him strong in the back of the head. Ow! What the heaven, Naruto? Omi yelled, as he held the back of his head in pain. You know, Omi, for someone who claims to be wise, you can be such an idiot, Naruto said, glaring at the young monk, confusing him. Friends are supposed to build each other up, not tear them down. Raimundo tried to stop Mala Jang just like we did, giving his best, even if it wasn't the right way to do it. And even though he's been upset about not being able to move on, all you've done is be smug and boastful, rubbing your rank in his face without caring how it made him feel. That's not what a real friend would do, Naruto said firmly, as he glared at Omi. Very well said, Naruto. Master Fong said, as he nodded in agreement. Omi rubbed the back of his head at this, before he and the others got back to work practicing with their new techniques. With Raimundo. Raimundo was sitting on a hilltop, looking over the city of Rio de Janeiro. All that strong work, all those showdowns, and I get dissed and talked down to. I never should have left you, Raimundo said, as he looked at the city. A lovely city, isn't it? A voice said from behind Raimundo, making him jump to his feet and turn around, seeing Wuya floating behind him. Back off. Take your mind walking somewhere else. Raimundo said, as he pointed the golden tiger claws at the ghost, as he was still creeped out after Wuya had entered his mind, when he was defeated by Mala Jang. Relax, my dear Raimundo. You know I can't hurt you if I'm alone, Wuya said, as she floated towards him. What do you want? Raimundo asked her suspiciously. I wanted to make you an offer. You see, I saw how you really feel about being on the Xiaolin side. All the training, very little rewards and being disrespected, after you tried to save your master, Wuya said, as she floated around Raimundo. You got a point. Raimundo asked, as he glared at Wuya. I wish to offer you a better, more rewarding offer. Join my side, and you will have anything you want, Wuya said, as she made an illusion of a game room, complete with a pool table and a bottle with pizza and soda. Raimundo looked around, his eyes widening as he was handed a soda by the butler. Before the illusion faded away. Ah man, Raimundo said as he sighed, and looked at his hand where the soda once was. I am very fair to my minions, who get results, Raimundo. Just ask Sasuke, Wuya said with a smirk, as she knew that Raimundo was jealous of the Uchiha, who was stronger than him. Raimundo paused at this, before he looked away from Wuya. No, I couldn't, he said, as he tried to not give in to this very tempting offer. Wuya smirked at this, as she knew she had his interest. We could start right now. We could, oh. A new Shingon Wu. It's the reversing mirror. Finally, she yelled in excitement. Raimundo looked at Wuya and hesitated, before he raised the golden tiger claws. I gotta go, he yelled, as he made a portal and jumped through it, leaving Wuya alone. Back at the Xiaolin temple. Everyone was gathered around the ancient scroll of Shingon Wu. The reversing mirror. When activated, it reverses the power of whatever Wu it's pointed at, Dojo said, as an image of a mirror appeared on the scroll, which was pointed at the 2-ton tunic, as it floated away. Wow, this one is a good one, Naruto said, as he could see how that could be useful. Well, let's get going before Jack gets there first, Kimiko said, as she nodded. Suddenly, Raimundo appeared through a portal. What's the Wu? He asked, as the portal closed behind him. Where have you been? I was worried about you. Wait, how did you know a Wu activated? Dojo asked curiously. Well, I figured since you guys were around the ancient scroll, it must be a Wu, Raimundo said simply, thinking quickly. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this, as this was kinda suspicious to him. But he didn't want to accuse his friend without proof. Okay, let's get going. Omi said, as he headed for the exit with the others close behind. Later. Dojo was flying over a rocky beach, as they made their way to a lighthouse. DMN, Jack got here first, Naruto said, as he scowled as they spotted Jack flying into the lighthouse. I'm on it. Golden tiger claws. Raimundo said, as he made a portal and jumped into it. Inside the lighthouse, Jack touched the reversing mirror, just as a portal opened next to him and Raimundo touched the mirror along with him, making it glow. Spicer, I challenge you to a Xiaolin Showdown. Raimundo declared. What's the matter Wuya, got no one to rout for, Dojo teased, as the old ghost slumped forward, as he and the others landed on the rocks nearby, where they spotted Wuya floating. Beat it pest, Wuya groaned out. Flashlight tag is the game. My tiger claws, against your lotus twister. First one caught in the light beam loses, Raimundo said, as he held up his Wu. Whatever, let's go, Jack said with a shrug. Xiaolin Showdown, both shouted, as the lighthouse began to come apart, scattering into several chunks of debris and platforms, as the light flashed in the center. While the others stood off to the side, only Naruto noticed that Rai wasn't dressed in his Xiaolin Gi like he normally was, when a showdown began. Gongyi Tanpai, both declared, as the light flashes around them. Both quickly ducking under it, jumping from the platform, with Jack stretching himself with his lotus twister, and Rai shifting with his claws. Jack saw the light coming and quickly stretched himself to a nearby platform to avoid the light beam, as Rai flipped over to another platform. If I get myself tied up in a knot over this, I'm gonna sue. Jack said with a frown. Raimundo landed on the platform before jumping towards the one above, hanging on by the edge. Should have picked a different showdown, Raimundo said, when suddenly Jack's extended arms wrapped around his legs. Raimundo, head towards the light. Jack laughed, as Raimundo struggled to break his grip. He pulled out the tiger claws, cutting a portal, but Jack wouldn't release his grip. Sorry pal, but you're not going anywhere, Jack said smugly, as the light beam drew closer towards them. Raimundo cut open a small portal, and with it he pushed Jack's legs off the edge, sending the evil boy screaming towards the abyss. Jack quickly extended his limbs, wrapping them around parts of the debris, holding on for dear life, only for the light to catch him, which made the area glow and turn back to normal, leaving Raimundo standing on the rocks holding the golden tiger claws, the lotus twister and the reversing mirror. Great job partner. Clay said as he smiled, and gave Raimundo a thumbs up. Very well done Rai. Kimiko said, as she nodded in approval. Naruto smiled encouragingly and nodded at Raimundo. Most impressive Raimundo, and you're not even a Xiaolin apprentice, Omi said, as he smiled in what he hoped was an encouraging way. Naruto groaned at this, but paused as he saw Raimundo's scowl and something in his eyes changed. You know what Omi, you're right. I'm not, where do you want them boss lady? Raimundo said with a smirk as he looked at Wuya, who was behind him. This got gasps of surprise from Kimiko, Clay and Dojo, while Omi's eyes widened in disbelief. Rai, you don't need to dash, Naruto was saying, before Raimundo cut him off. Save it nature boy. I'm done with this Xiaolin stuff. I'm with the Xiaolin side now. Golden Tiger Claws. Raimundo yelled, as he made a portal and jumped through it with his new Wu. Gahahaha. See you later, chosen ones. Wuya cackled in glee, before she flew through the portal after Raimundo. Everyone was silent at this, as they stood there in surprise at what just happened. Ha! You guys just got punked. Man, what did you do to treat him like CRP? Jack asked, as he laughed. Well, one of us did, Naruto said with a strong tone, as he scowled at Omi. Omi frowned at this, before he looked at his feet. Did I really push Raimundo to this? He thought to himself, as he didn't mean for this to happen. With Raimundo. It was now night time, with Raimundo and Wuya on a mountain top. Wonderful job, Raimundo. We have an important piece for the key to our victory, Wuya said, as she looked at the reversing mirror happily. Just a piece. What do we need? Raimundo asked curiously. I will require you to go steal the serpent's tail back at the dash, Wuya was saying, before she got cut off. No way. Forget it. I'm not going back there. Raimundo yelled, as he turned to walk away. Did I mention I would give you all of Brazil, in addition to your reward? Wuya asked with a smirk, as she knew Raimundo loved his home country. Raimundo paused at this and looked at Wuya, surprised at this offer. Okay, fine. But this is the last time, he said, as he readied his golden tiger claws. Wonderful. But you will not hurt Naruto in a lasting way, otherwise you will get nothing from me, Wuya said with a firm tone. Okay, you have been interested in Naruto since he showed up. What's the big deal? Raimundo said, as he had seen that Wuya was interested in Naruto, and he was starting to get really curious now. Wuya paused at this, before she smiled. My dear boy, what if I told you I knew who the Dragon of Fire was back in Dashi's day, she asked. Naruto already told us. He said it was one of his ancestors, Raimundo said. Wuya's smile grew, before she leaned forward towards Raimundo and whispered into his ear, and as she talked, Raimundo's eyes widened in shock. Back with Naruto. Naruto was in the Shingon-Wu vault, sitting in front of Sophia's shelf, and he had just explained what had happened with Raimundo. I'm sorry your friend was lured away by that witch, Sophia said as she frowned, as she may have done questionable things, she was not one to backstab an ally. I have a really bad feeling. Rai is way more dangerous than Jack. I don't know if I can fight him, Naruto said as he frowned, as he didn't want to fight his friend. Sophia frowned at this, as she saw this was hurting Naruto. Then let me do it, she said firmly, as she made a decision. Naruto looked up in surprise at this, as he didn't expect this. I wouldn't maim him or anything. I would just subdue him, so you and your friends can talk some sense into that idiot, Sophia said, wanting to make it clear to Naruto that she wouldn't kill Raimundo. Naruto looked at Sophia, and soon chuckled at this. You know, Master Fong said that you would probably fit as my signature Wu, now that I'm an apprentice, he said, as he stood up. Heh, then he knows a quality weapon for you then, Sophia said, as she chuckled. Friend, Naruto said firmly, correcting the living Wu. Friend, Sophia said, as she nodded in agreement. Naruto nodded back, before he heard a noise up above him. He instantly walked up the stairs a little, before he spotted Raimundo next to an open drawer, pulling out the serpent's tail. What are you doing here, Rai? Naruto asked, as he looked at him with an impassive look. I need this, so don't get in my way. The boss lady would prefer if I don't hurt you too badly, if possible, Raimundo said, as he smirked at Naruto. I don't care what her pathetic reason for being interested in me is. You're not getting past me, Naruto said as he took a step forward, before Raimundo shot forward and slugged him in the gut strong. Oh, trust me, her reason isn't pathetic. Wind. Raimundo said, before he jumped back and used his element to propel himself into the air, and out of the vault. Naruto held his stomach in pain, as he heard what sounded like shouting and fighting outside the vault. He soon recovered and got up. "Don't forget me!" Sapphire yelled out, making Naruto pause. Naruto approached the drawer Sapphire was in, and opened it as he took out the sapphire dragon and put it in his pocket, before he took off up the stairs out of the vault. When he made it outside, he saw Omi, Kimiko and Clay at the entrance of the temple. When Naruto ran over, he saw Raimundo flying off with the serpent's tail, laughing. "Raimundo really did betray us," Omi said, as he started to cry at the fact that he lost a friend, and that he pushed him to it. "Why would he only take the serpent's tail?" Clay asked, as he patted Omi on the head. "Yeah, it's only good for phasing through stuff," Kimiko said with a nod. "Wait, if he used it with the reversing mirror?" Naruto said, as his eyes widened in realization. Everyone froze at this, as they thought about this and realized what Naruto was saying. "Then it would turn a ghost solid," Kimiko said, finally getting it. "Like Wuya," Omi said with shock. "Dojo, we need to go. Now." Naruto yelled at the dragon, as he knew this was the worst-case scenario. "On it! Let's go people!" Dojo yelled, as he grew to full size and let everyone on him, before he quickly flew after Raimundo. With Raimundo. In a green field miles away from the Xiaolin temple, Raimundo stood across from Wuya, holding the serpent's tail, while the reversing mirror was behind Wuya. "Are you ready?" Raimundo asked with a determined smirk. "I have been ready for 1,500 years. Do it now." Wuya yelled out impatiently. "Raimundo, stop this." Naruto yelled, as Dojo flew towards them and let Naruto and the other apprentices off his back, before he shrunk down. Too late. Serpent's tail. Raimundo yelled, as he activated his Wu and flew at the waiting Wuya. Wuya's eyes glowed brightly as she smiled, as the dragon of wind approached her. Reversing mirror. Wuya yelled, as the serpent's tail struck her, which made the mirror glow and activate, causing a sonic boom to go off. The four apprentices watched as the grass and trees around them began to wither away and die, becoming nothing short of dark barren wasteland. "This is bad, very, very bad," Kimiko said, as she frowned and looked around. "If I had hair, it would be standing on end," Omi said, as he too looked around. "If I had boots, I'd be quaking in them," Dojo added, as he sat on Clay's shoulder. "Wanna borrow mine?" Clay asked the dragon. "No thanks, no feet," Dojo said, holding up his tail for emphasis. Naruto felt a sudden pulsation surge within him, and gripped his chst as he fell to his knees. "Naruto, you okay partner?" Clay asked, kneeling beside the nature dragon. Naruto couldn't answer, as he suddenly felt it was becoming strong to breathe. Something was happening to him, but he couldn't understand what it was. Before any of them had a chance to act, a pillar of surging green flames erupted from the ground like a geyser. Standing in front of that geyser was a tall curved woman, wearing a black kimono exposing her legs, with flowing red hair, wearing an all-too-familiar mask. She slowly peeled it away, revealing the face of an appealing woman, at least in her 20s. Kimiko froze at this, as she looked at Wuya's hair and noticed a very eerie similarity to Kushina. "Wuya?" Omi said with wide eyes at this. "In the flesh," Wuya said, as she began to chuckle darkly before bursting into full evil laughter, as the green flames surged all around her. Naruto, still clenching his chst, stood up as sweat dropped from his brow. Wuya smirked, looking over at Naruto, before she looked down at herself, and smiled at seeing that she had her body back, before she threw her head back and cackled. "Ahahaha! Tremble in fear, foolish mortals. Wuya Uzumaki is back," she yelled out, with her arms raised in the air, causing thunder and lightning to flash across the sky. She then looked over at the Xiaolin dragons, and smirked at Naruto. "Now Naruto, why don't you come over and give Grandma a hug," she said with a smile. With the Xiaolin team. Naruto, Omi, Clay, Kimiko and Dojo sued their ground, as they tried not to be thrown back by the wind, as Wuya powered down after her display of power which destroyed the reversing mirror, with Raimundo nearby, who was smirking at them with his arms crossed. Dojo gained a smirk on his face, before flying right up to Wuya. Ha! You just destroyed the reversing mirror. Which means that you get 7 years of bad luck, he said happily. Wuya gave him a smirk of her own at this. Actually, since it's called the reversing mirror, it's 7 years of good luck, she said. This caused Dojo to sweat drop in realization. Oh yeah, he said, before flying back to the Xiaolin team, who were still trying to keep themselves steady. Which was strong, considering what Wuya had just revealed to them all. What? Naruto said in shock, as he looked at Wuya with new eyes, as images of his mom appeared in his head, who was a dead ringer for Wuya, so her being his grandmother wasn't that strong to believe. It may be strong to believe, I know. But trust me, us Uzumakis don't lie about family, Wuya said with a smile, as she tossed her hair over her shoulder. Naruto clenched his fists at this, as this was something he had heard his mom say a lot, from what little he could remember about her. Omi, Clay, Kimiko and Dojo looked at Naruto with frowns at this, as they could see he was conflicted about this. Naruto, you don't have to help if you don't dash, Omi was saying, before he was cut off. Omi, do what you have to do. I have your back, Naruto said firmly, as he knew this wasn't the time to deal with this. Omi, Clay and Kimiko nodded at this, before Kimiko took off running at Wuya, while holding the Star of Hanabi. Star of Hanabi, fire! Kimiko yelled, as she fired a blast of fire at Wuya, which engulfed her. For a few moments, nothing happened, before Wuya walked through the fire, completely unharmed. Thanks for warming me up, little girl, Wuya said with a grin. Kimiko scowled at this, as blue fire appeared in her eyes. Oh, scary, Wuya said mockingly, pretending to be afraid. Orb of Tornami, ice. Omi yelled, as he blasted a torrent of water at Wuya, which struck her and froze her in ice. Only moments later, for her to open her eyes and shatter the ice with a movement. Sorry cue ball, but I don't like taking a cold bath, Wuya said with a mocking tone. Clay jumped into the air, ready to attack at this. Third arm sash, earth, he yelled, which caused the third arm sash to turn to stone, and punch Wuya, crushing her. Clay smiled at this before, he felt a presence behind him and saw Wuya floating behind him with a smirk. Shingon Wu. I'm beyond that now kiddo, Wuya said with a smirk, before she grabbed Clay and easily threw him over her shoulder, causing him to go flying at Kimiko and Omi and crash into them. Wuya then looked down at Naruto and floated down, as she stood across from him. Next, she said with a confident smirk, along with Raimundo. Naruto glared at Wuya at this as he slightly sweated, as inside he was nervous and his mind was running a mile a minute. Well, if you're not gonna attack, I'll just deal with your friends, then we can have a family chat, Wuya said, as she turned to look at the others. Naruto instantly reached into his pocket, and held out a certain Wu, that made Raimundo, Omi and Clay's eyes widen in surprise. Sapphire Dragon, Nature. Naruto yelled out, as a green aura engulfed the Wu, before it grew and with a mighty roar, Sapphire in full-sized form, flew at Wuya. Wuya raised an eyebrow at this, before she smirked as Sapphire clashed with her. Naruto took this chance to run at the others. Dojo, move, he yelled out to the little green dragon. Dojo nodded rapidly at this, before he slithered down Clay's shoulder and grew big, to let everyone on. Hey, wait a dash, Raimundo yelled as he was about to give chase, before he was smacked by Sapphire's tail, sending him flying. Eyes on me, traitor. Sapphire growled out, before Wuya blasted her with green fire. Ha! So my grandson actually befriended you. I'm so proud, Wuya said with a smile. Wuya, they are getting away. And we have a powerful opponent now, Raimundo said, as he readied his tiger claws, as Sapphire got back up and growled at them, ready to fight. Powerful? Oh please, this dragon is nothing to me, Wuya said, as she floated in the air and blasted the earth, which caused the earth to burst and dozens of what looked like rock minions appeared. Crush her, Wuya said with a smirk, as they surrounded Sophia and glared at her with their green eyes. Sophia growled at them, as she roared and clashed with the rock creatures. Wouldn't that also give her an army of her own, if she turns them into sapphire? Raimundo said curiously. Oh, I'm afraid not. See, while my dear grandson used his power to make her a real dragon now, she can't use her power to turn my rock creatures into sapphire with her pitiful magic, Wuya said with a smile. I can still fight you and give them time to escape. Sophia roared out, as she threw several rock creatures back with her tail. She's right, Wuya, Raimundo said, as he pointed out the flying away dojo. Wuya smirked at this, before she snapped her fingers, which caused several of her rock creatures to turn towards Dojo and open their mouths, before they fired a barrage of flaming rocks at Dojo. Now. Then, I think it's time for me to raise my palace, Wuya said with a grin, before she raised her hands that were covered in green fire, causing a building made of rock to appear. Unknown to her or anyone else, a frozen Naruto and Omi also came out of the ground. With free Xiaolin side. Incoming! Clay yelled, as the barrage of flaming rocks flew at them. Ow! Ow! Hot! Hot! Too hot! Way too hot! Dojo yelled as he was struck by the rocks, which sent him falling down to the ground nearby. Thankfully, Dojo was able to break their fall. Okay, who's not dead? Sound off, Naruto groaned out, while holding his head as he got up. This got groans from Omi, Clay and Kimiko as they held up their hands and got up, while Dojo shrunk down and was on Kimiko's head. Before anyone could speak, some rock creatures were already approaching them. Everyone got into fighting stances, but before the fighting could start, a portal appeared and Raimundo dropped between the rock creatures and the Xiaolin side. Give me a minute boys, Raimundo said as he looked at the rock creatures, who huffed but nodded. But what if some of them are girls? Naruto whispered to Clay. Focus, Dojo said, hitting Naruto on the shoulder with his tail. What do you want? Kimiko asked with a glare. Yes, did you finally see how foolish you are? Omi asked with a glare of his own. Please, I came to give you oh so mighty Xiaolin apprentices the chance to give up, so my boys here don't have to rough you up, like they are with Whisker's new pet, Raimundo said with a smirk. It'll be a cold day in hell before we ever give up, Naruto said with a strong glare. Yeah, we're not sellouts like you double-crossing varmint, Clay said with a glare. Oh yeah, you're just the ones that let the half-pint talk down to your friend, Raimundo said with a scowl at Omi and them. This made them pause, as despite the situation, they knew Raimundo was right. Rai, this isn't the way to, Naruto was saying, before he was cut off. Save it nature boy. Wuya is gonna rule the world now, and put me in the lap of luxury. So you can either join her, or get squished, Raimundo said, as he held out his hand to snap his fingers to signal the rock morons to attack. Not while I'm around. Jack's voice yelled out from above them. Everyone looked up, and saw a black flying aircraft above them, which fired lasers at the rock creatures, destroying them. The aircraft then flew past the Xiaolins and grabbed them, before flying off. What the heck? Raimundo said with a dumbfounded look, as he didn't expect Jack to show up. On the aircraft. Everyone was in the aircraft cockpit looking at Jack, as he flew them out of there. What do you want, Jackie boy? Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow. I know. He wishes to join us, now that he sees that the Heilin side is not worth it. Omi said with a wide grin, as he hugged Jack. Jack scoffed and made a buzzer sound. Sorry Baldy, but I'm still bad down to my core, he said, as he pushed Omi off him. Okay, color me confused. Omi yelled, as he looked at Jack in confusion. I want to rule the world, you moron, Jack said as he rolled his eyes. And you can't do that, if Wuya is already in charge of it, Kimiko said with a glare. Exactamundo. Now, where are we going? Jack asked, as he focused on flying. No idea, Naruto said, as he shrugged his shoulders. What? You mean you guys don't have a plan? Jack yelled out. We never have a plan. We usually just wing it, Clay said with a shrug. I have been losing to you guys, when you have just been improvising. Jack yelled, as he turned to look at them, which caused the jet to go out of control. Oi! Eyes on the road! Dojo yelled out, as he pointed out the window. Don't tell me what to do, Mushu. Jack yelled, as he turned to get back control, which he did thanks. I'm nothing like that faker. Unlike him, I'm a real dragon, Dojo said with a huff. Speaking of dragons. Friend Naruto, what the heaven was that? Omi yelled at Naruto. That was Safaya, Naruto said simply, as he shrugged his shoulders. You do realize that doesn't explain things right, partner? Clay asked, as he adjusted his hat slightly. Look, I have been talking to her since we beat her. And what can I say, we're friends now, Naruto said, explaining it simply. Hello, who's Safaya? Jack asked curiously, as he hadn't heard this name before. The Sapphire Dragon, Kimiko said simply. Jack paled at this, which was impressive considering his skin, as Wuya had told him about this Wu. You knew? Omi asked Kimiko curiously, as this was a big secret to keep. Hey, Dojo knew too, Kimiko said, as she pointed at Dojo, trying to deflect attention from herself. Hey, don't throw me under the bus. I'm more interested in the little fact that Wuya is Naruto's grandmother. Dojo yelled out in a panic. Wait, say what? Jack yelled, as he looked back at them and again lost control. Kimiko smacked Jack in the back of the head at this. Focus, she yelled at him. Yeah, unless you want one of us to fly this thing, Clay said, as he was starting to consider jumping ship. Alright, alright. Don't get your hat in a twist, Jack said as he drove. Did you know that Wuya was your grandmother, friend Naruto? Omi asked curiously. Of course not. I was just as shocked as you guys. Naruto yelled, as he shook his head at this. Yeah, you looked the most shocked of us all, Kimiko said with a frown, as she knew that Naruto was happy when he found out a relative was the Dragon of Fire in the past. But to find out it was Wuya, probably hurt Naruto a lot. Everyone was silent at this, as they just left Naruto to his thoughts. Not that this group therapy stuff isn't fun, but where are we heading? Jack asked curiously, as he still needed a destination. I believe we should head back to the Xiaolin Temple. Master Fong might have some idea what we should do next, Omi said with a nod. Sounds good to me, Clay said, as he nodded in agreement. Jack nodded at this, as he flew his aircraft. I gotta say, I'm actually impressed. Did you actually build this thing? Naruto asked Jack curiously, as he tried to distract himself. You bet I did. I don't call myself a genius, just to boost my own ego, Jack said with a smile, as he didn't get compliments very often. Well, you would get more compliments, if you weren't such a moron all the time, Kimiko said with a roll of her eyes. Jack scowled at this, but said nothing as he flew the vehicle. Naruto frowned at this but said nothing, as they approached the Xiaolin Temple. They all looked out the window, and saw all the monks were outside, confined in what looked like rock cages, while surrounded by Wuya's rock creatures. Run, my Xiaolin apprentices! Master Fong yelled out to them, before the rock creatures fired flaming rocks at them. Take evasive action. Naruto yelled at Jack. Don't need to tell me twice, nature boy. Jack yelled back, as he dodged and swerved his way through the flaming rocks. A massive rock hit the aircraft, and damaged the vehicle badly. Dojo. Better get flying, partner. Clay yelled out, as the aircraft started to slow down and shake. Dojo nodded at this, as the doors opened before he grew and flew everyone out. Ugh, slow down with the bouncing, Jack said as he turned green, as Dojo flew them away from the temple. Oh come on Jack, haven't you ever ridden an animal before? Naruto asked, as he smiled back at Jack. Jack groaned at this, as he grabbed Clay's hat and heaved into it. Hey! Come on now! Clay yelled, as he approached Jack to try and get his hat back. What do we do now? Kimiko asked, as she frowned at the fact that they had nowhere else to go. Well for now, we should find a place to rest, Naruto said, as he figured they should rest a bit. Somewhere Wuya would not think to find us, Omi said with a nod of agreement. Hey Jack, you have a place with high security right? Naruto asked curiously. Jack said nothing as his head was still in Clay's hat, despite the cowboy's attempts to get his hat back. He did give Naruto a shaky thumbs up though. Okay. Dojo, head for Jack's place. Naruto yelled at the dragon. Dojo nodded at this, as he flew them to Jack's base. With Raimundo. Raimundo walked into Wuya's throne room, as he told her what happened. Jack Spicer? Wuya asked with a cocked eyebrow, as she sat on her throne. I think so, yeah, Raimundo said as he nodded, and looked at a hanging cage nearby, which held Sophia, who was now a small blue dragon. You have a small form now too, he asked curiously. Sophia scoffed at this, and looked away from him ignoring him. Jack Spicer is pathetic, and can be easily dealt with once I take over the world, Wuya said, as she made an image of the earth appear in front of her, which she covered in her green flames. Raimundo's eyes widened in surprise at this, as while he knew Wuya had said she wanted to take over the world, he was starting to see how serious this was. What is wrong, Raimundo? Ah, I know, I owe you for your great work so far, Wuya said, as she walked down her stairs towards him and smiled at him, before she made a small green flame and threw it at a wall nearby. When the small flame hit the wall, it engulfed the wall, and when the fire faded away, the wall was replaced with a door that had Raimundo's face on it. Raimundo approached it as the doors opened, and when he looked inside, he gained a shocked look on his face at what was inside. Inside was a massive room with all kinds of arcade games, a massive TV, a couch to watch TV. Everything he always wanted was pretty much in this room. You have every video game and movie in here, Raimundo said with a shocked tone, as he looked at Wuya. Oh, no, 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 Raimundo. You have every video game and movie, Wuya said with a smile at her loyal minion. Raimundo smiled at this, before he laughed and ran into the room. Wuya smiled at this. Enjoy Raimundo, you have earned it, she said, as she left to conquer the world. With the Xiaolin team. Everyone was in Jack's basement sitting around, as they rested and tried to think of something to do. Jack, I swear what you just did to my hat is, well it's just not right, Clay said, as he came out of the bathroom, after washing out his hat in the bathtub multiple times. Hey! You're lucky I had a small breakfast, or it would have been worse, Jack said, as he sat at his workbench, while Dojo slithered around carrying a plate of sandwiches he had made in the kitchen upstairs. Thanks, Dojo, Naruto said with a nod, as he took a sandwich. So, where are your parents? Kimiko asked curiously. Mom and Dad are on a business trip or a world tour. I honestly lost track, Jack said nonchalantly with a shrug. Naruto frowned at this, as he could tell while Jack put on a tough front, he knew that Jack was lonely. Naruto nodded as he got up and grabbed another sandwich, before he approached Jack's workbench. Jack looked up and saw Naruto, as he offered him the sandwich. Here Jack, you must be hungry after what happened with Clay's hat, Naruto said as he chuckled slightly. Jack chuckled at this, before he took the sandwich and took a bite, before he paused. Hey, Dojo right? Did you make this? It's pretty good, he yelled, as he swallowed. Dojo smiled at this, before he gave Jack a thumbs up, while Kimiko approached Naruto and grabbed his arm, as she dragged him to the corner where they could talk. What's up? Naruto asked curiously, wondering what was wrong. What's up with you and Jack? Kimiko asked curiously. What do you mean? Naruto asked her, as he didn't see the problem. You're being all nice to Jack, like he wasn't fighting us last week, Kimiko said, as she frowned as she didn't understand. Naruto sighed at this, as he shook his head. Kimiko, look at Jack, he said, as he pointed at said teen. Kimiko looked at Jack and saw him talking to Dojo, and they were both laughing. He's talking to Dojo, while stuffing his face, she said simply. Kimiko, look, just trust me when I say being alone can hurt, and make you lash out. And if we try being genuinely nice to Jack, it may get results, Naruto said, as he smiled at the fact Jack was actually getting along with Dojo. Kimiko watched this and after a few moments sighed. Fine, I'll give him a chance. But I reserve the right to call him out if he does something stupid, she said firmly. As the lady wishes, Naruto said with a smile, as he bowed slightly. Kimiko rolled her eyes at this, but smiled a little as Naruto and her approached the others. So, any ideas on how to deal with Wuya? Naruto asked, as he sat down next to Clay on the couch. Nope, Clay said, shaking his head. What we need is a way to beat Wuya, Omi said with a frown. Well, only Grandmaster Dashi knows how, right? Naruto asked, as he had done some research about the past. Yeah, but you kids missed him by about 15,000 years, Dojo said, as he shook his head. There must be a way to talk to him, Kimiko said with a frown. Hey Dojo, are there any time-traveling Wu? Naruto asked curiously. Yeah, there was one. But it's not active, Dojo said, as he nodded. Jack looked up at this, his eyes widening in surprise. Guys, he said, as he took off his goggles. So that's a bust, Kimiko said with a sign, as she knew that they couldn't just wait for a Wu to activate, and let Wuya rule the world in the meantime. Guys! Jack yelled, trying to get their attention. Well, we need a plan, otherwise Wuya is eventually gonna capture us, Omi yelled in a panic. Hey, bathrobe guys! Jack yelled out, finally getting their attention. What? The Xiaolin team yelled back, annoyed at the dig at their monk robes. I have a time machine, Jack with a smug look on his face. You're kidding, Dojo said, as while they all knew Jack was a talented inventor, this was something else entirely. Just follow me, my reptilian amigo, Jack said with a smile, as he led the way into the back of the lab, where there was what looked like a big machine with a tarp over it. Jack grabbed the tarp and pulled it away, showing what looked like a metal archway connected to a computer nearby. Introducing my super cool time machine. Jack said with a smile. Okay, what the heck, Jack? Kimiko asked, as she gave Jack a surprised look. Yeah dude, what is your IQ? Naruto asked, as he chuckled. It looks like something from that Stargate flick I watched a while back, Clay said, as he scratched his head. So, this device will take us into the past. Most fascinating, Omi said, as he looked at the machine curiously. Well, you can. But the problem is that it only lets you go back about 10 seconds max, Jack said, as he frowned. Why's that? Clay asked with a raised eyebrow. How to explain to a cowboy? Time machine need more power than Jack have, Jack said with a dumb tone. Cowboy understands perfectly, Clay said with a firm tone. So you need a better power source. Well, why not use the eye of Dashi? Naruto asked, as he looked at Kimiko, who held up said Wu. Jack's eyes widened at this, before he smiled. I'll get it ready. You all decide who's going. 15,000 years, right Dojo? Jack asked the dragon, since he said he knew Dashi back then. Dojo nodded at this, as he smiled at Jack as he worked. Okay, I'll go to the past, and I'll ask Master Dashi for help, Omi said as he smiled. Not alone you're not. I'll go with you, Naruto said firmly, as he shook his head. Clay, Kimiko and Dojo looked at Naruto curiously at this. Look, I have my own reasons for why I want to go back. Besides, do you really want to leave this mission to just Omi? Naruto asked them. True. If two of us go, we have a better chance to succeed, Clay said as he nodded, agreeing with Naruto. Okay, me and Omi will each take a Wu, and leave the rest with you all, in case Wuya comes knocking, Naruto said to them. I'll take the Orb of Toonami, Omi said, as he held up the Wu. And I'll take the Rui Jingu Bang, Naruto said, as he gestured to said Wu on his back. Kimiko frowned at this, as she didn't like the idea of Naruto going with Omi. Naruto saw this and also frowned, before he reached into his shirt and took off the sage's necklace. Here Kimiko, you take this while I'm gone, he said, as he handed it to her. Kimiko took the necklace and looked at it in surprise, as this was a Wu Naruto preferred to use, since it belonged to Tsunade. Are you sure? She asked him. Naruto smiled at this and nodded. Don't worry, I'll be back for this, he said to her encouragingly. Kimiko smiled at this and nodded, before she hugged Naruto who hugged her back. Okay kiddios, I'm all set. It should drop you both off near the Xiaolin temple. So stop hugging your man, and use the eye of Dashi already, Jack said, as he activated the time machine and the archway activated, making a portal appear, but it was flickering on and off. Kimiko blushed at this, before she composed herself and approached the open port of the machine, connected to the archway. Eye of Dashi, she yelled, as she fired a blast of lighting into it. The time machine's portal stabilized at this, ready to send them into the past. Oh, be sure to tell Dashi I said sorry about the shirt, Dojo said, as he sat on Jack's shoulder. What? Naruto asked with a cocked eyebrow. Don't worry, he'll know what I'm talking about, Dojo said with a sheepish look, rubbing the back of his head. Don't worry, my friends. We will not fail. Omi yelled, as he ran into the portal. What he said. Naruto yelled, as he ran after Omi into the portal. The past in China. Omi and Naruto appeared in a flash of light, in a grass field in China. Wow, that's a lush, Omi said as he held his head, as he was dizzy from their trip through time. Rush Omi, Naruto said as he shook his head, as he tried to recover from his own headache, as he looked around. That too, Omi said, as he too looked around. Where is the Xiaolin temple? He asked, as he and Naruto noticed that there was no temple around. Maybe Jack sent us to the wrong time? Naruto asked with a shrug. Or the temple hasn't been built yet, Omi said, as that was a valid possibility. Good point. Okay, let's go to the village nearby, and see if anyone knows where Dashi is, Naruto said, as he pointed out a village nearby. Ah. A good idea, my friend. Omi said as he ran off towards the village, with Naruto close behind him. Naruto and Omi ran into the village, and saw that it was definitely a village from a very old age, since they saw people in very traditional clothes. Plus, they also saw several people with farm animals. Excuse me. Excuse me. Miss, wait. Sir, do you know where I can find Grand Master Dashi? Omi asked, as he ran around to several people, but he was ignored. Naruto sighed at this, as he could tell the people here weren't that eager to talk to outsiders. Yeah, sadly the people of this village aren't that trusting of outsiders, a voice nearby said. Naruto looked and saw what looked like an older man, wearing a straw hat over his eyes laying in a pile of straw. There a reason for that? Naruto asked curiously, as he sat down next to the older man. Not really. Some people are just untrusting of new people. Plus, your hair isn't exactly common, kid, the older man said with a chuckle, as he moved his hat up to look at Naruto. Naruto, nobody will talk to me. Are you having better luck? Omi asked as he ran over. Your name is Fish Cake, the older man asked with a chuckle. Naruto face planted at this, making the older man laugh. It also means maelstrom, DMN it. And I'm not taking that from some hobo. Naruto yelled out, as he got to his feet. Hey Dashi, good news. I hid the wings of Tanabe in that well. But the bad news is that I washed your shirt with your red towel, a green dragon said, as he slithered over holding a pink shirt. Dojo? Omi asked, surprised at seeing his dragon friend. Dashi? Naruto asked as he looked at the older man, falling to the ground as he did. The older man sighed at this, as he stood up. Thanks for blowing my cover Dojo. Dashi yelled, as he took off his straw hat and smacked Dojo with it. Omi gasped dramatically at this. Grand Master Dashi, he yelled, before he bowed his head to the older man. Dashi groaned at this, as the villagers watching this all stopped and looked at them. Okay everyone, nothing to see here, Naruto said, as he got off the ground and waved his hands calmly. Yeah, what the fish cake said. Clear out. Dashi yelled at the villagers, who all walked away. Dashi then picked up Omi by the back of his robes, and looked at him. Okay kid, what do you want? An autograph? Some feng shui advice, he asked the young monk. No. I need the secret to defeating Wuya. Omi yelled out desperately. Dashi and Dojo looked at Omi with confused looks at this. Kid, Wuya is locked up in a puzzle box. That's why I'm famous, remember? Dashi said, as he tried to calm Omi down. Yes, she is now. But 15,000 years from now, she escapes and gets her body back, Naruto said. Did you hit your head, Mr. Kitty? Dojo asked with a raised eyebrow. Naruto's eyebrow twitched at this, while he reached for the Rui Jingu bang on his back. Ha! Dojo, didn't you hide that in the Senju village? Dashi asked, as he looked at Dojo. Yes, I did. Okay kid, where did you get it? Those animals in there were supposed to protect that. Dojo yelled at Naruto. Naruto looked at Dojo with a raised eyebrow. Would these animals be a raccoon, a fox, a cat, a beetle, a horse, an octopus, a slug, a gorilla and a turtle? He asked. No idea. Hagoromo just said he was asking some buddies of his to watch it, until the next dragon of nature. Dashi was saying, before he looked at Naruto and his eyes widened in realization. Yeah, I'm the new dragon of nature. And Omi here is the dragon of water. Now do you believe us? Naruto asked, after gesturing to Omi. Dashi looked into their eyes and after a few moments, he nodded. Okay kids, you better explain from the beginning, he said, as he sat down, with Dojo sitting on his shoulder. Hey, he's the kid. I'm only 16-inch, Naruto said with a pout, as he sat down with Omi in the dirt, so they could explain. One very long explanation later. Dashi looked at Naruto and Omi with a contemplative look, before he nodded. Okay you two, I'll give you both a puzzle box, so that you can deal with Wuya, he said, as he stood up. You will? Omi asked excitedly, as he hugged Dashi's leg happily. Wait, you believe them? Dojo asked Dashi curiously, from his seat on his shoulder. We have been hiding magic artifacts, Dojo. I think this is pretty normal, Dashi said with a chuckle, as he tried to pry Omi off his leg. When he finally did, he looked at Naruto who was looking at him, but seemed to be conflicted. What's up kid? Dashi asked, seeing something was bothering him. Naruto looked at Dashi, and after a few moments he sighed as he composed herself. Look, I also came cause I wanted to ask you about Dash, Naruto was saying, before Dashi held up his hand, stopping him. Let me guess, you're an Uzumaki and you want to know why Wuya is, how she is, Dashi said as he frowned. Naruto nodded at this, as he had avoided mentioning that he was an Uzumaki during the explanation, since he didn't know how Dashi would react. How did you know, great master? Omi asked in wonder of the older master. Well, he may not have the Uzumaki's hair, but he's got that Uzumaki spirit in spades, Dashi said with a chuckle. Naruto said nothing to this, as he didn't know if this was a good thing or not. Relax kid, there is no shame in being an Uzumaki. Wuya is just complicated, Dashi said with a sigh, leaning against a wall. Well, we have a long wait for our time, old man. So let's hear it, Naruto said, as he was eager to hear this. Dashi nodded at this, and looked at Dojo. Dojo, stay here with Omi, while me and Naruto talk, he said, pushing himself off the wall. Ah, I'm not worthy of hearing it? Omi asked, as he pouted a little as Dojo approached him. Nah, this is just family stuff and it's his decision to tell you kid, Dashi said, as he gestured for Naruto to follow him. Naruto followed him and when they were on a hill nearby, Dashi stopped and sat under a tree as Naruto sat across from him. Okay kid, before I tell you about Wuya, I need to tell you something about the Uzumaki, Dashi said. Please don't tell me they were all evil, Naruto said with a frown, as this was a big fear of his ever since he found out that Wuya was his grandmother. Dashi shook his head at this. No, no. See, they were all magic users who were very reclusive and kept to themselves mostly, he said, as he shook his head. Wait, they all have magic? Naruto asked with wide eyes. Yes they did. See kid, magic isn't inherently evil. It's like the Shingon-Wu, it can be used for good and evil. The Uzumaki have the same choice as any other person, Dashi said firmly, as he wanted to make that clear to Naruto. Naruto nodded his head at this. Just like there are no bad students, only bad teachers, he said. Good saying. Do you mind if I steal that? Dashi asked with a smile. Go ahead old man. Now, let's get to Wuya, Naruto said, as he was ready to hear this. Dashi sighed and shook his head slightly. Well, it all started when I gathered the other elemental dragons, and discovered that Wuya was the dragon of fire, he said. Nice to know that theory is confirmed, Naruto said with a nod, as he had expected this. Dashi nodded at this. See, when I went to her and asked her to help me and my fellow dragons keep the peace, she was willing to do it. But she said that she would only do it, if me and my friends used our connections with the Emperor of China, to make it so the Uzumaki could stop hiding, he explained. Naruto nodded at this, as he could understand this since magic would make people fear the Uzumaki. I agreed of course, and for years we were a great team. Heck, she even found love with one of my friends. But, Dashi said, as he smiled but soon paused and frowned. What happened? Naruto asked, as he clenched his fists, dreading the answer. An enemy manipulated the Emperor of China into thinking the Uzumaki clan was plotting against him. I tried to stop him, but by the time I found out. Dashi said as he looked down at the ground, and clenched his fists at the memory. Naruto frowned at this. He had them all killed, he said, as he had a bad feeling. Dashi nodded at this, with an impassive look on his face. Nobody survived. And Wuya, well. He said, trailing off. Naruto frowned at this, as he could only imagine what his grandmother did. She massacred the Emperor of China's army, and killed his family in front of him before I could stop her and seal her away, Dashi said as he frowned, as the memory of Wuya's cries of betrayal, and the images of the royal capital on fire, as rock creatures destroyed the royal palace. Naruto's eyes widened at this, as while he expected Wuya to retaliate, this was bigger than he expected. I'm afraid the Uzumaki take their family seriously. And if you cross them, then, well, you get what Wuya became, Dashi said as he sighed. And I'm guessing she left a kid behind, Naruto said as he frowned. Oh yeah, but don't worry. I took her in. I didn't think I had it in me to be a godfather, but I owed it to who Wuya used to be to do that much, Dashi said firmly, while Naruto nodded understanding. Uncle Dashi, a little girl's voice yelled out from nearby. I'm over here Kushina. Dashi yelled as he smiled and got up. Naruto's eyes widened in shock, as he saw a little girl running over. She had red hair and violet eyes, wearing a shirt and pants. The kid Kushina ran to Dashi and hugged his legs. "I want ramen," she said with a bright smile up at her uncle. "Okay, you head home and I'll be there soon," Dashi said, as he patted her on the head and smiled. Kushina smiled at this, before she looked at Naruto curiously, before she ran off. "Sorry about that, she's shy," Dashi said with a chuckle as he turned to Naruto. No, it's fine," Naruto said, as he watched Kushina run off. "What's the problem, kid?" Dashi asked curiously, as he could tell something was bothering Naruto. My mom's name was Kushina," Naruto said firmly. Dashi said nothing to this, but nodded as Naruto had explained his past to Dashi when they explained why they were there. "You're not surprised?" Naruto asked curiously, as he found this odd. "Not really." Wuya, during her grief, cast a spell that made it so any surviving Uzumaki would have eternal youth after they aged past a certain point, Dashi said as he shrugged. Naruto said nothing to this, as this made sense and definitely explained how Kushina was Wuya's actual daughter, and not a descendant with very little connection, so she got bored of me and did dash, he was saying, before Dashi cut him off. Dashi held up his hand at this. "Let me stop you there, kid. If I know Kushina, she would rather give up ramen than do that. Whatever reason she had for leaving, know this, kid. She loves you," Dashi said firmly. Naruto paused at this, as he thought about what little memories he had about his mom and smiled a little, before he whipped his eyes and looked at Dashi. "Thanks, Dashi," he said, as he nodded in gratitude. "Hey, none of that, kid. Call me uncle, you hear?" Dashi said with a smirk. Naruto laughed at this and nodded, as he and Dashi walked back towards Omi, who was waiting with Dojo. "You learned what you needed to, my friend?" Omi asked Naruto curiously, as he approached. "Yeah, I know what I need to know, Omi," Naruto said as he nodded and smiled. "Okay, kid, catch," Dashi said, as he threw Omi a puzzle box. "Hey, no present for me? What kind of uncle are you?" Naruto asked with a teasing grin. "Uncle?" Omi yelled out in shock. "Adopted, but still," Naruto said with a chuckle, shrugging his shoulders slightly. "Good point, so here," Dashi said, as he tossed Naruto a scroll which he caught. "That's some information on the Uzumaki's magic. Maybe you can find a weakness," Dashi said, as Dojo slithered onto his shoulder. Naruto looked at the scroll and nodded, as he put it away and looked at Omi, who was looking at him with his jaw still open from his shock. "Kid, you're gonna catch flies," Dojo said with a grin, as he shook his head. Omi shook his head, trying to compose himself. "Okay, we have a puzzle box. So now we can head back to the future," Omi said happily, as he held the puzzle box. "So, how are you guys gonna get back?" Dashi asked curiously. This got silence from everyone. "CRP," Naruto said as he groaned and slapped his head, while Omi started to run around him, Dashi and Dojo, screaming his head off. "Back with Kimiko in the future. What do you mean you don't know how to get them back?" Kimiko roared out angrily, as flames engulfed her body and her blue eyes burned with rage. Like I said, I only was able to travel back a few minutes. I never expected this type of situation." Jack said, stepping back nervously. You. Kimiko roared, her hair burning brightly with each shout. You. Kimiko cupped her chin in thought, as the flames died down, thinking of what to call the so-called boy genius. "Jackass?" Clay offered, as while he wasn't one to cuss, this was a situation that definitely warranted it. "Thank you," Kimiko said sweetly, nodding her head at Clay. "You jackass. You've trapped Naruto and Omi in the past forever," she shouted, shaking Jack like crazy, causing his eyes to gain swirls in them. Jack soon got loose from Kimiko, which for him was strong to do. Okay, my bad. I'll make this right. Just give me a week, and I'll have a way to get them back," he said, as he approached the time machine, ready to get to work. When suddenly a rock monster emerged from under the time machine, destroying the machine as he roared at Jack. "Oh, come on. I was feeling useful for once, DMN it." Jack yelled out in frustration, before Clay grabbed him and pulled him back, and threw him behind the couch nearby so he wouldn't be in the way of the upcoming fight. "Kimiko, it looks like we got ourselves a sack full of trouble," Clay said. "I heard that. Fire!" Kimiko yelled out, as she charged at the rock creature and slid under its legs, to attack it from behind. "Earth!" Clay yelled, as he grabbed a robot arm off a shelf and jumped at the rock creature, as he swung the robot arm down at it like a club. But this did nothing, as the robot arm hit the rock creature in the head, while it grabbed Clay. Kimiko chose this time to kick the rock creature between the legs. The rock creature looked at Kimiko with a confused look at this, since it did nothing to him. Clay chose this time to slug the rock creature in the head, but this did nothing but hurt his hand and make the rock creature mad. Meanwhile, Jack was watching this from behind the couch, along with Dojo. "Aren't you gonna get in there?" Dojo asked with a raised eyebrow. Jack shook his head at this. "I'm not trained like them, but, jackbots. Back them up. Turn Wuya's rock losers into dust," he yelled out. A bunch of jackbots dropped out of the roof and opened fire on the rock monster, after Clay and Kimiko got out of the way. The rock creature tried to attack, but the jackbots flew around him and continued to attack the rock creature, who eventually crashed to the ground, destroyed and turned into rubble. Jack came out from behind the couch, and smiled at the results his robots got. "Ha! Take that magic. My robots finally got the job done," he yelled happily. "It's amazing what you can do when you have a good reason, kid," Dojo said with a chuckle, as he slithered onto Jack's shoulder. "Thanks for the backup, partner," Clay said, as he nodded at Jack in appreciation. Kimiko nodded at this. "Yeah, good job, Jack. But don't get cocky, as Wuya is still around, and we now don't have a safe place to find a way to get Naruto and Omi back," she said with a scowl, at the fact the rock creature trashed the time machine. Before Jack could answer, the ceiling shook, and soon the ceiling was lifted away as what looked like a giant rock creature held it with one hand, as it gazed down at them. "I don't suppose you have a giant mech, partner?" Clay asked Jack, who was looking up at the giant rock creature in stunned shock. "I'll make a mental note to make one. But for now, I surrender," Jack said calmly, before he yelled out the last part, and held up his arms in surrender. Kimiko, Clay and Dojo groaned at this show of cowardice. "And he was making such great progress too," Dojo said with a sigh, as they were surrounded by more rock creatures, and taken away after being confined inside them. With Raimundo. Raimundo was in his room sighing, as he tried in vain to teach some rock creatures how to play air hockey. "Dude, you're not supposed to eat the puck," Raimundo said, as he sighed in frustration. The rock creature burped at this, sending pieces of the puck flying. Raimundo shook his head at this, as he approached a basketball. "Okay, let's try basketball," he said, as he gestured to a hoop nearby. The rock creatures said nothing to that, as one tackled the hoop to attack it. Raimundo groaned at this, as he was really starting to miss his friends by now. He then noticed Wuya coming into the room. "Hey Wuya. Good time, girl. Are you up for some air hockey?" We may need a new puck though," he said, as he was really feeling lonely at this point. Maybe later, Raimundo. For now, we have something to deal with," Wuya said as she gestured for him to follow her. They both went into her throne room and waited at her throne for a few moments, before the doors opened. "How many of us have them?" "Friends." Jack and Dojo sang, as the rock creatures brought them along with the others into the throne room. "Once we can depend on." "Friends," the two sang out together, as they were both panicking. Wuya meanwhile, was grinding her teeth in frustration, as this wasn't exactly how she wanted people to fear her, as even she had a limit for how much people should grovel. "Okay, wow," Raimundo said, as even he found Jack and Dojo's singing really pathetic. "Shut The F. Up. Wuya shouted, scaring the pair. I don't even like Houdini, she grumbled out, as she had heard some modern music thanks to Jack. Hey Wuya, you're down and Omi in Naruto, Raimundo said, as he pointed at the captured prisoners. Say what? Wuya said in surprise, as she disappeared and appeared in front of the captured Xiaolin team, along with Jack and Dojo. Where is Naruto? Oh, and I guess Omi too, Wuya said, as she glared at Kimiko and Clay. Not talking which, Kimiko said, as she glared at Wuya. I'm afraid that I'm gonna have to say no too, ma'am, Clay said firmly, as he looked at Wuya with a determined look on his face, showing he wouldn't talk either. Wuya growled at this, before she glared at Jack and Dojo. Oh God, please don't fry me. We were friends before, right Wuya? Jack yelled in a panic on his knees, with his hands pressed together before his face. Now, we can be friends. Just as soon as you tell me where my grandson is, Wuya said with a small grin that was anything but friendly, seeing as she was making green fire in her hands in a threatening manner. Your grandson? I didn't even know you had a grandkid. I was just minding my own business, when they showed up and I was gonna show this little dragon how to make Kool-Aid, Jack whimpered, only to get punched across the face by Wuya. OSHT. Please have a heart, Wuya. Please, it's Friday, Dojo sobbed out. I know what F day it is. Wuya said, slapping Dojo upside the head. Okay, this is getting kinda sad. Where are Omi and Naruto? Raimundo asked, as he approached. What do you care, you 2-bit fink? Clay said, as he glared at Raimundo. Yeah, it's 'cause of you that Omi and Naruto are trapped in the past. Kimiko yelled, as she glared at Raimundo. Wait, they're what? Wuya asked with wide eyes. Nice one moron, Sophia growled out, from her small cage hanging nearby. Dojo looked over, and gained hearts in his eyes. Not in a million years, Sophia said flatly. Ah, so I'm guessing this moron made a time machine, and didn't think of a way for them to return, Wuya asked, as she gestured to Jack who pouted at this. Hey, at least he tried to help us, Clay said as he nodded at Jack, along with Kimiko and Dojo, making Jack pause in surprise. Wuya smirked at this, as she got an idea. Is that so? Tell you what Jack, I'm feeling generous and Raimundo needs a friend. So if you swear loyalty to me, I'll let you go. And I'll even let you rule a few islands or something as a bonus, she said with a grin, thinking this would be easy. Jack paused at this, as this was a surprising offer. But before he could say anything, he paused and thought about how he's actually been having fun hanging out with Dojo and Naruto at least. And that the others were actually giving him a chance. Plus, he really liked having buddies to just hang out with, which he'd never had before. Well Jack? What's your answer? Wuya asked with a smirk, thinking he'd say yes. Jack looked at Wuya and then the others, before he gripped his cell bars. Take your offer and shove it, he yelled out, making an echo of his voice sound off in the throne room. Wuya's eyes widened in surprise at this, along with Raimundo and the others. Okay, I didn't expect that, Sophia said with a chuckle. Wuya growled at this, before her hair was engulfed by her green fire. Fine. Then you can rot in the dungeon with your new friends, she yelled, as the ground opened making a portal appear, which the rock creatures prepared to throw the heroes into. Wait, don't I at least get a last request? Jack yelled out in a panic. Oh fine, let's hear it, Wuya said as she rolled her eyes at this, as she liked to think she wasn't above a last request. Can you sing I'll put a spell on you? Jack asked with a defiant smirk. This got silence from everyone, before Kimiko, Clay, Jack and Dojo started to laugh strong. Oh man, I can't take her seriously now. Clay yelled as he laughed. Okay, Naruto was right, you're not so bad Jack, Kimiko said, as she tried to catch her breath. Jack grinned happily at this. Well, Hocus Pocus is one of my favorite movies, he said with a smug look at his burn at the witch. You have good taste, kid, Dojo said as he laughed. Raimundo covered his mouth, as he tried not to laugh, as he could definitely see the comparison with Wuya. Wuya growled at this as she raised her hand, and the rock creatures threw the heroes all into the portal onto the dungeon. Oh, come on. At least say book. Jack yelled, as was thrown into the portal. The others laughed more at this, as they fell into the portal. Okay, I may not understand the joke, but if it makes you mad, then it must be good, Sophia said with a smirk at the growling Wuya, as she had to admit Jack was growing on her. In the dungeon. Everyone was in their own cells, while Dojo was hanging in a small cage. So, you think Wuya will let us out for good behavior after 50 years? Kimiko asked, as she looked at her cell. I doubt it. She seemed pretty mad, Dojo said, as he shook his head. Hey, it was worth it, Jack said with a chuckle, as he was kinda proud of his burn at Wuya. I can't argue with that partner, Clay said, as he nodded in agreement. Everyone was silent for a while, as they just sat in their cells. So, do you think Naruto and Omi will be okay? Kimiko asked, as she gained a worried look. Okay, I gotta ask, you have a crush on Whiskers, right? Or was Catnap just being paranoid? Jack asked curiously. Kimiko blushed at this, but said nothing. Ah ha. I knew it. Jack said, as he chuckled a little at this. Yeah, it's a regular joke at her expense, since Naruto is, well. Clay said as he trailed off. Dumb as a doorknob. Dojo said helpfully. Ah. The typical dense archetype, got it. Jack said, as he nodded in understanding. What do you know about it? Kimiko asked curiously. Hello. I mostly watch streaming services when not hunting Wu, or inventing. He's pretty much the dense lovable moron in anime, Jack said, as he waved his hand dismissively. This got silence from everyone, before Dojo and Clay started to snicker, as that was a very accurate description of Naruto. Well, at least we can laugh even when our situation is hopeless, Clay said, as he sat down in his cell. Suddenly the sewer grate in the middle of the room opened. Have no fear, my friends. Omi said, as he poked his head out of the hole with a bright smile. Omi. Kimiko, Clay, Jack and Dojo yelled in surprise. Omi, will you move? This sewer stinks worse than Dojo on burrito night. Naruto's voice yelled out from below Omi. Omi nodded, as he got out of the hole and Naruto made his way out of the hole behind him. Naruto. Kimiko said as she smiled, glad to see he was okay. You two are a sight for sore eyes, Clay said as he smiled too. Watch out. Dojo and Jack yelled, as the ground moved and two rock monsters formed and attacked Omi and Naruto. Orb of Tornami, ice. Omi yelled as he fired a blast of water, which hit the rock monsters and the cell bars, before freezing. Rui Jingu Bang. Naruto yelled as he swung his growing staff, and shattered the frozen rock creatures and the cell bars, freeing everyone. Ah, sweet freedom at long last, Jack said happily, as he stepped out of his cell. Okay everyone, follow me, Naruto said, as he gestured to the sewer hole he and Omi used to get in. How are you guys here? Dojo asked curiously. Explain outside. We need to get out of here, before Granny Dearest shows up, Naruto said, as he jumped into the sewer. I'm guessing he got confirmation it's true. Clay asked Omi, as they followed Naruto. Indeed he did, Omi said as he nodded, since Naruto told him everything Dashi told him in the past. Outside. Everyone was outside, sitting around a campfire after Naruto and Omi led them all out of Wuya's castle. Okay, we should be safe. For a little while, at least, Clay said, as he came back and sat down near the fire, after securing the perimeter. So how did you guys get back from the past? Kimiko asked Naruto curiously. Time-traveling Shingon Wu, right? Clay asked with a smile. Duh, obviously, Jack said, as he waved his hand dismissively. Naruto chuckled at this. That would be thanks to Omi, he said, as the little monk smiled as he explained how they used the orb of Tornami to freeze them both under where Wuya would raise her palace in the future. Everyone looked at Naruto and Omi with their jaws hanging open in shock at the explanation they were given for how they made it back. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out. Though I am still cold after that long nap, Naruto said with a chuckle, as he shivered a bit. Kimiko approached Naruto and hugged him, surprising the whiskered blonde. Is that better? She asked, as she smiled at him. Why yeah, thanks, Naruto stuttered out as he blushed a little, before Kimiko pulled away from him. So did Dashi give you a way to beat Wuya? Clay asked Omi, hoping the trip was worth it. Indeed he did, my friend, Omi said happily, as he held up the puzzle box. Ah, a puzzle box. Just like the one I found Wuya in, Jack said as he smiled. So what's the plan? Dojo asked curiously, hoping that they had a plan, now that they had what they needed. I'm thinking we need a distraction to lure Raimundo and his goons away, while me, Jack and Omi sneak in and use the puzzle box on Wuya, Naruto said, as he composed himself after Kimiko pulled away from him. Just leave it to us partners, Clay said as he nodded along with Dojo, ready to give them the distraction they needed. Later, in Wuya's palace. Naruto, Omi, and Jack were hiding behind a rock formation, as they watched Wuya who was looking over a magazine, while sitting on her throne. Are you gonna be okay with doing this? Omi asked Naruto curiously. As he knew that Naruto didn't have a lot of family. Naruto nodded at this. Let's do this, he said, as Omi took out the puzzle box and attempted to open it while he went to free Sapphire. But no matter what he tried, he couldn't get it to open. Need help, little man? Jack asked as he raised an eyebrow at Omi, who was biting on the puzzle box, trying in vain to open it. I don't understand. Master Dashi said the box would open when the person who needs to open it opens it, and I really need to open it. Omi yelled out in frustration. Here, let me try it, Wuya said from behind them. Oh, that would be most. Omi said with a smile before he and Jack spotted Wuya behind them and screamed, before they took off running. Wuya smirked at this, as she blasted at Omi and Jack with her magic, missing them as they avoided her. Before she was tackled by a full-sized Sapphire, while Naruto dropped down at her with the Rui Jingu Bang raised over his head, ready to swing it down on her. Sapphire jumped back from Wuya, but before she could recover. Rui Jingu Bang, nature. Naruto yelled, as the staff grew both lengthwise and widthwise, growing to the size of a massive pilar, which smashed into Wuya, sending her into a wall. Ha! Take that witch! Jack yelled, as he hovered in the air with Omi trapped in Wuya's magic, which had them trapped in place. Before Naruto could do anything else, a massive blast of green fire sent him, Sapphire and his staff flying. Sapphire and the Rui Jingu Bang slammed into the wall, while Naruto floated in the air, trapped in Wuya's magic as she approached him, glaring at Naruto. I don't know whether to be mad or proud of the fact you actually hurt me, Wuya said as she looked up at Naruto. Well, us Uzumakis are tricky from what I hear, Naruto said with a defiant smirk. Wuya chuckled at this, as she shook her head, as she couldn't deny that. Before she held up her hand, as Sapphire pounced at her and was stopped in mid-air, before she was forced back into her small form. Wuya, they escaped. I think they are planning a dash, Raimundo yelled as he entered the throne room with some rock monsters, before he was cut off. No need to worry Raimundo, they were easily dealt with, Wuya said with a smirk, as she gestured to Naruto, Sapphire, Omi and Jack hanging in the air. The doors to the throne room opened as more rock creatures entered while carrying Kimiko, Clay and Dojo in their bodies. I'm gonna guess it didn't work. Clay asked, as he frowned. Oh, you think? Sapphire yelled, as she growled in frustration. What kind of master gives you a weapon that we can't use? Jack yelled at Omi in a panic. Before Omi could respond, Wuya took the puzzle box from him. Ah, a magic puzzle box from Dashi. Very impressive attempt for a bunch of rookies, Wuya said as she shook her head, before she looked at one of her rock creatures, who had locked up Omi and Jack in his stomach like the others. Crush them, Wuya said with a glare at them. The rock creatures started to close their stomachs, slowly crushing their captured prisoners. Naruto growled at this, as he watched the rock monsters' cages begin to shrink, crushing his friends inside them. Naruto grit his teeth, rage in his eyes as they blazed emerald green. Raya! Naruto roared, as a blazing green aura erupted from his body, shattering his magical restraints and blowing the rock creatures to pieces, freeing his friends thanks to the kickback from his show of magic power. Oh, would you look at that? My grandson's first magical tantrum. I'm so, OSHT, Wuya said, before she realized she was in trouble. She looked up as Naruto dived down at her, with his fist raised. But the older Uzumaki quickly summoned up a wall of green flames to block him. Okay, it looks like Grandma's gonna have to discipline you, Wuya stated with a serious tone, firing her green flames at Naruto, who flipped in the air to avoid her attacks, before unleashing his own blast of magical vines, which shot out of the ground and shot at Wuya. But Wuya was very quick to meet the attack, causing a shockwave to erupt from the colliding attacks. Naruto thrusted his hands out, causing the vines growing in the cave to levitate before shooting towards Wuya. The red-haired witch punched at the ground, creating two large arms of stone, shielding her. You've got much to learn, little maelstrom, Wuya smirked. Then show me what you've got, Bachan, Naruto challenged with a mocking tone. Both of them smirked at each other, as they surged with magical energy. Wuya fired off a stream of green flames while Naruto fired a blue beam of chi energy, colliding in a deadlock of beams with Wuya slowly gaining the upper hand. The other monks, Dojo and Jack were standing on the sidelines looking on, all but one. Raimundo was searching around and found what he was looking for, the puzzle box. Wuya took notice of this, and her eyes widened in shock. Wait! Wuya called out, catching the wind dragon's attention. Don't do it, Raimundo. Haven't I given you everything you've promised? If you return to me, you can have anything you want. Money, games, your own country, Wuya offered. What I want, is my friends. Rai declared, opening the puzzle box, releasing a golden light which engulfed the room. Emerging from the box, was the spectral form of Grand Master Dashi. Dashi! Wuya gasped, as she glared at the spirit. Naruto stood back and walked over to his friends, picking up the Rui Jingu Bang as he did. Whoa Wuya, the years have not been kind to you, Dashi said with a smirk, before giving a regretful look as he closed his eyes, and flew through Wuya, turning her back into a spirit. Wuya screamed at this, as she was stripped of her physical form and once more sealed into the puzzle box, which sucked her into it and closed. The spirit of Dashi looked at Raimundo and smiled at him. Good job, Dragon of the Wind. Glad to know that my replacement can make a good decision when it matters most, he said as he gave Raimundo a thumbs up, before he faded away. Raimundo paused at this information, before he looked at his friends and gave them a thumbs up, which they returned, before the castle started to shake violently, causing him to drop the puzzle box. It's time to get a moving, gang. Clay yelled out, as some rocks fell down at them from the roof. Everyone ran, and when they made it onto a bridge, it collapsed and everyone fell, except for Jack, who was using his helicopter backpack to fly. As everyone but Jack fell screaming, Dojo and Sophia grew to full size, with Dojo grabbing Omi, Clay and Raimundo while Sophia grabbed Naruto and Kimiko. The two dragons made their way out of the collapsing castle, with Jack close behind Barley dodging falling rocks. As they made it to the exit, the castle exploded in a blast of green energy, which caused Jack's backpack to break, but he grabbed Sophia's tail before he could fall. The two dragons flew away from the destroyed castle, as the monks and Jack looked behind them and smiled as they saw. The green energy blasting away from the destroyed castle was restoring nature around it, and slowly making its way around the entire earth. Dojo smiled at this, while Omi and Clay smiled at Raimundo, glad he saved them. Naruto gave Raimundo a thumbs up, while Kimiko smiled and nodded, with Jack giving him a thumbs up while they all flew away from the area. Back at the Xiaolin Temple. Master Fong looked at Raimundo, while Omi, Clay, Kimiko and Naruto stood behind him, while Dojo stood on Clay's shoulder with Sophia standing on Naruto's shoulder. Raimundo, for glory and riches, you betrayed us all, Master Fong stated, with an impassive look on his face. But Master, he also saved us, Omi said, wanting to defend Raimundo and try to make up for him being condescending before. Yeah. If it wasn't for him, we would have been toast, Clay said as he nodded. Yeah, Raimundo saved us, Kimiko said as she nodded in agreement. Not to mention a 1,000 years of darkness would cover the world, Naruto added. Guys. I did a lot of damage, and I need to do whatever it takes to fix it, Raimundo said, as he turned to look at them all. Whatever it takes, Raimundo? Master Fong asked curiously, with a cocked eyebrow. Yes, Master Fong, Raimundo said as he bowed his head. Master Fong said nothing to this, as he approached Raimundo. Raimundo soon looked up, and saw that he was holding out a blue sash. What's this? He asked in surprise. The sash of a Xiaolin apprentice. It is yours, Master Fong said firmly. Omi, Clay, Kimiko and Naruto smiled at this, happy for Raimundo. Raimundo smiled himself, as he moved to grab it. But before he could, he paused and stopped. Master Fong raised an eyebrow at this action. It's not that I don't want it, Master Fong. But I'm not ready, Raimundo said as he shook his head at this. Master Fong smiled at this, proud of the young monk for this action. But I will be someday. You know, if the others help me out, Raimundo said, as he smiled and gave his friends a thumbs up. The others smiled at this, and gave Raimundo a thumbs up at this. Sophia looked around curiously. Hey, where did the Spice Boy go? She asked. Oh geez. If he's in the vault, then I'm gonna dash, Naruto was saying, before he was cut off. Hey guys, I made sandwiches. Let's celebrate beating Wuya. Jack yelled as he ran over, holding a platter of sandwiches. Everyone paused at this, before they laughed and nodded, while Raimundo looked at this with his mouth hanging open in shock. Okay, I was only gone for a weekend. What the hell? Raimundo asked, surprised that Jack was being more friendly. Let's just say that Naruto taught us that being kind to someone who needs it, gets results, Kimiko said with a smile, as she took a sandwich from Jack. Huh, so you're a new teammate? Raimundo asked Jack curiously. Well, if it's okay with your master, Jack said, as he knew it was his call. Especially since he didn't have a good track record. Master Fong looked at Jack and after a few moments smiled. It would seem you and Hagoromo have a talent for befriending the enemy young Naruto, he said as he looked at Naruto. Yeah, between Sophia and now Jack, it is most impressive, my friend, Omi said, as he smiled and took a sandwich. Yeah, hopefully we're past the worst of it now, Naruto said with a sigh of relief, as he and his friends went into the temple. Back at the destroyed palace. Inside the rubble of the destroyed palace stood the puzzle box that held the newly captured Wuya. Suddenly, the puzzle box was picked up by Sasuke, who looked at it with a contemplative look. Hey cutie, I found a mirror that looks like a Wu. Catnap yelled, as she ran over, holding the now restored reversing mirror. Sasuke smirked at this, as his Sharingan was activated. Xiaolin Temple. It had been a few days since the Xiaolin monks had sealed up Wuya again, and Jack had decided to stay with them for a bit. Jack was still getting used to the monk lifestyle though. Thankfully, they had let him use an old shack as a makeshift workshop, since he still liked to make gadgets, which Master Feng said was fine, as long as he still did his training in chores for the day. Speaking of which, the young monks were getting ready to start their chores for today. Everyone had a Shingon Wu to use, to help them with their chores. Omi had the third arm sash, Raimundo was using the Shroud of Shadows, Clay put on the jet butsu, Kimiko held the lotus twister, Naruto grabbed the tangled web comb, and finally Jack used the monkey staff. Omi was standing nearby, holding a stopwatch. Okay my friends, prepare to commence with chores. Gongi Tanpai, he yelled, as he clicked his stopwatch. Everyone moved and started to do their chores. Omi used the third arm sash to clean the floors with brushes. How the heck is this a showdown? Jack asked, as he grabbed some rubbish off a roof, before jumping down thanks to being part monkey. Gongi Tanpai means ready set go, Naruto said, as he used the tangled web comb to pull around a rake, and rake up the leaves. Plus, think of this as a chance to try and get your chores done quicker, so we can hang, Kimiko said, as she used the lotus twister to reach under the couches and clean. But Jack is already hanging, as he is part monkey, Omi said, as he dumped the rubbish in a bin. Metaphor, little buddy, Clay said, as he dusted the ceiling thanks to the jet butsu. Naruto chuckled at this, before he noticed Raimundo using the Shroud of Shadows to make the dirty dishes in the kitchen disappear. Really Rai? He asked, as he gave him a flat look. What? You Xiaolin apprentices can't expect me to do your dishes for you, Raimundo said, as he walked out of the kitchen smiling, while dusting his hands off. Come on Rai, you don't see Jack complaining, Kimiko said, as she was dusting under a couch, before she pulled out what looked like an old piece of pizza, which made her groan in disgust. Hey, I was looking for that. Clay yelled as he floated down, and snatched the piece of pizza from Kimiko before he ate it. Ah, nothing like pizza for breakfast, he said before he flew off. This caused Kimiko to go green in the face, as she stopped herself from throwing up. I must admit, I am most impressed with Jack's strong work today. He got used to this most quickly, Omi said, as he smiled at Jack, as he helped Naruto rake up some leaves. Yeah. I'm suspicious, Raimundo said, as while he wasn't suspicious of Jack's intentions, he couldn't understand how Jack was so used to the chores, compared to yesterday. Here you go, all the leaves raked in record TTT time, Jack was saying, before he started to stutter in a robotic voice as sparks flew out of his head, before his head started to spin. Ha! Our friend is possessed. Like the beetle of juice. Omi yelled in a panic. Raimundo laughed at this, as the now revealed Jack robot fell down, broken. So, if that's a Robo-Jack, then where's the real Jack? Clay asked curiously, as he adjusted his hat. My money is on his workshop, Kimiko said with a frown, as she got up and dusted herself off. Naruto nodded at this, as he led the way to the large shack, where they let Jack set up shop. Raimundo banged his fist on the door loudly. Alright Jack. Your robot broke, so you're busted, he yelled. Mr. Jack no here. Jack's voice said from behind the door, in a bad imitation of a Spanish maid. Naruto, Raimundo and Clay snorted at this, while Kimiko rolled her eyes. Oh, do you know when he'll be back, miss? Omi asked kindly. It's Jack. Little guy, Naruto said with a chuckle, as he patted Omi on the head. Yeah, he's just disguising his voice, Raimundo said as he stifled his laughter. Come on Jack, it's time for training and your robot isn't gonna cut it for this. Kimiko yelled, as she kicked the door. Go away, or I call police. Jack this time yelled in a Chinese accent. Okay, I'm done, Mr. Dong, Naruto said, as he pulled out the fist of Tebagong and punched the door open, showing Jack on a couch in front of a big TV, playing Ratchet and Clank. You have a PS5? You sell out. Raimundo yelled, asking that it was the newest Ratchet and Clank game. You have next game? Jack asked, holding out the controller to Raimundo. Now, I'm sure we can handle this without a fight, Omi said, as he blocked Raimundo's path to Jack. Is that a Nintendo SWCH with Mario games too? Kimiko asked with a raised eyebrow. You are the sellout. Omi yelled out at this, upset that he was denied a Mario game, before him and Raimundo started to chase Jack, who ran out of the shack with them close behind. Ah, I see you all discovered our new monk has been using a robot, Dojo said, as he slithered over with Sapphire. And how long have you known, exactly? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. He has movies to watch. I regret nothing, Dojo said with a smile, before Sapphire smacked him on the back of his head with her tail. Later. Everyone was in the training grounds, while they watched Jack try to run the obstacle course without the use of any woo. Come on Jack, keep moving. Kimiko yelled out to Jack, who was slowly making progress. Yeah, you're making great progress, partner. Clay yelled out. Gah. You guys are all masochists. Jack yelled back, as he tried to climb a rope to climb over a wall, but he barely made it off the ground, before he fell to the ground with a groan. Okay, time for a break. You have been punished enough, Naruto said, as he approached Jack with a drink of water for him. Jack took it and drank the water happily. I see you're still struggling, Jack, Master Feng said, as he approached. Sure, I'm old-timer. But I'll get the hang of it, eventually, Jack said, as he caught his breath. Master Feng smiled at this, glad that Jack wasn't giving up. I may know a guy from my village who can get Jack trained and into shape, Naruto said, as he rubbed his chin. Oh. Is he a strong fighter? Omi asked curiously. He has a dojo in my village and he gets results. But the training is harsh, Naruto said. Oh come on, how bad can it be? Raimundo asked curiously. Bakon refused to let him train me as a kid, Naruto said simply, as Jack finally got on his feet. Raimundo, Omi, Clay and Kimiko flinched at this information. Oh, this master must have very tough training, Omi said, as he wondered how bad the training must be. Naruto smiled down at him. You have no idea, he said. Very well, my young dragon. If you feel he can help, feel free to invite him to the temple, Master Feng said, as he nodded. Naruto nodded back at this. Oh, and a word of warning, he's a bit on the eccentric side, he said as he chuckled nervously. The best masters usually are, my young monks, Master Feng said with a smile at the young monks, as he smiled. Okay kids, we have a woo activating, so let's saddle up. Dojo said as he started to twitch. What's the woo? Jack asked curiously, kinda excited for his first mission with his friends. The shard of lightning. It allows the user to move at the speed of light, but only for a short moment, Master Feng said, as he showed them an image of the woo in the ancient scroll. Well, I hope you have room, now that there are 6 of us, Raimundo said to Dojo, as everyone got ready. Don't worry, I can take a few of you too, Sapphire said, as she grew to her big form like Dojo. I am so glad you're a real dragon now, Naruto said as he smiled, and got on Sapphire's back. Yeah. Between that and your sapphire breath, you should be able to help us deal with anything, Kimiko said with a nod, as she got on Sapphire and sat behind Naruto. Sapphire scowled at this, but said nothing. Bad subject, little missy? Clay asked curiously, as he, Omi and Raimundo got on Dojo. Wuya made me into a real dragon, but in exchange I can't turn anyone into sapphire statues anymore, Sapphire growled out. Ouch, Jack said with a flinch, as he sat on Sapphire's back. It's fine Sapphire, you're still cool, Naruto said with a smile, as he patted the dragon on the head. Sapphire smiled a little at this, before she took off into the air, along with Dojo. Later. Sasuke and Catnap were on a wooden dock near a rocky mountain, as a lightning storm was starting. Sasuke was holding Wuya's puzzle box, and was attempting to open the puzzle box. There was only one problem though, he sucked at puzzles. Need help? Catnap asked, as she chuckled at Sasuke's attempts to solve the puzzle box. Sasuke said nothing to this, but threw the puzzle box to Catnap, who caught it and after a few moments, the puzzle box opened. Finally. Wuya yelled, as she flew out of the puzzle box. You were in there for a few days, Sasuke said with a non-impressed tone. Really? Huh, felt much longer to me, Wuya said nonchalantly with a shrug. Anyway, we need to find the shard of lightning. It's very close, she yelled out. We know. Sasuke found a map to a fusion golem Madara was a fan of, with that being one of them, Catnap said with a chuckle. Before Wuya could respond, they spotted Dojo and Sophia landing on the docks. Wuya! Raimundo exclaimed in shock, as they all jumped off Sophia and Dojo, so they could shrink back to normal. Bachan! Naruto shouted out in surprise. You didn't think I'd stay in that box forever, did you? Wuya asked, floating up to the dragons. Well, another 1,500 years would have been nice. Omi replied with a brief smile. Hi Grandma, Naruto greeted with a wave. Hello Naruto, Wuya said in a cheerful voice. Everyone looked between the two Uzumaki with confusion on their faces. What? Just 'cause we're on opposite sides, doesn't mean we can't be family, the two replied, glaring at the onlookers. Give me back my sapphire breath, witch. Sophia yelled out angrily. Can't exactly do that without my magic, so tough luck, Wuya said, as she blew a raspberry at her. Naruto then smirked at her. But I can, since I'm your grandson after all, he said. Wuya shook her head at this. Sorry, but that spell is a high-end one, she said with a grin. Rats, Naruto said with a scowl. Enough of this. Ashley. Sasuke yelled out, before he took off climbing up the mountain. On it. Catnap yelled, as she pulled out her backpack and threw out some of her kittens, who attacked the Xiaolin team. Ah! Not the evil kittens of doom. Omi yelled out, as he was attacked by the kittens. Ow, ow, ow. Oi, watch the claws. Raimundo yelled, as he and Clay tried to fight back. Catnap threw a punch at Kimiko, who caught it and judo flipped her into the lake. Ha! Take that kitty litter. Kimiko yelled with a smile. As Sasuke made his way up the mountain, he noticed Jack flying up towards the top with his helicopter backpack, towards the shard of lighting. Ha, not today, pretty boy. This one's for the good guys. Jack yelled, as he approached the shard of lighting. Wait, say what? You actually turned good? Catnap yelled out, as she got out of the water. You bet I did, you bad excuse for a cat burglar. Jack yelled, as he stopped to look back at Catnap with a smirk. This gave Sasuke the chance to run past Jack and slash at his backpack with his Raijin no Ken, which caused Jack's backpack to explode and send Jack falling towards the ground, screaming in terror. Naruto, who was making his way up the mountain, stopped and pulled the Rui Jingu Bang off his back. Rui Jingu Bang, nature, he yelled, as he slammed the staff on the ground, making vines shoot out off the mountain and catch Jack. Thanks, Jack said, as he scowled at his failure to help. Sasuke finally made it to the shard of lightning, and grabbed it then held it up. Shard of lightning, he yelled, and in a flash of light he disappeared. He suddenly reappeared by Catnap, who smirked at him and grabbed the newly captured Wu. Shard of lightning, they both yelled, before they both disappeared in another flash of light. Well, it looks like we win this one brat, Wuya said with a grin at Naruto, before she flew off laughing madly. Naruto sighed at this, as he and Jack used his vines to climb down the mountain to the others. Looks like Wuya traded up for a much better lackey, Raimundo said with a scowl. Jack frowned, as he clenched his fists at his failure. Don't let it get to you, my friend. This was most expected, from a new monk such as yourself, Omi said with a smile. Naruto frowned at this, but before he could do or say anything, Kimiko slapped Omi in the back of the head. Ow! What did I do? Omi asked, as he held his head in pain. Remember how we said being condescending was gonna get painful? Kimiko said with a sweet tone, that was anything but sweet. Dojo slightly shook in terror at this, while Sophia smirked with her arms crossed. Naruto chuckled at this, while Raimundo and Clay laughed as Jack smiled and nodded in thanks to Kimiko. Ah! Thanks for the reminder, Kimiko, Omi said, as he nodded in understanding. Okay kids, let's get back, Dojo said, as he and Sophia grew large. Everyone nodded at this, as they all got on the dragons, who flew off back to the temple. The next day at the temple. It was a regular day at the temple, and the young monks were all pairing up and sparring with each other, while each using a Shingon-Wu of their choice. Raimundo was sparring with Omi, and they were using the Eye of Dashi and the Orb of Tornami respectively. Clay and Kimiko were sparring, using the Mantis Flip Coin and the Tangled Web Comb respectively. And finally, Naruto and Jack were sparring, with Naruto using the third arm sash while Jack used the monkey staff. You are a big fan of that one, huh? Naruto asked with a chuckle, as Jack avoided Naruto's attack with his Wu. You bet. I loved monkeys as a kid. Jack said, before he hooted happily while banging his fists on his chest, before he dodged. I am friends with one, you know. Remind me to introduce you to him, Naruto said with a smile, as he attacked again. When suddenly, the third arm sash was gone, along with Jack's monkey staff. What the? Ow! Jack yelled, as he fell down, as he turned back to normal. Okay, what the hell? Naruto asked, as he ran over to Jack to help him up. Thanks, hey, why is there lipstick on your cheek? Jack asked, as he looked at Naruto. Wait, what? Naruto asked with wide eyes, before he ran over to the pond and looked in the water, seeing that Jack was right, as there was a lipstick mark on his cheek. Hey, what's the deal? Raimundo yelled, as he had a bucket on his head, while Omi was running around screaming with a squirrel in his pants. Okay, who took our Wu? Clay asked with a raised eyebrow, as his and Kimiko's Wu were gone too. Yeah, what's going, is that a lipstick mark? Kimiko was saying, before she noticed the lipstick mark on Naruto's cheek, which caused her to bellow out the last part and her eyes to gain flames inside them from her anger. Before Naruto could respond, in a flash of light, they all saw Sasuke and Catnap, holding the shard of lightning and all the Wu they were using before. Oh DMN, looks like I missed kissing the cutie on the mouth, Catnap said with a Cheshire grin. You're dead, you litter-sucking, floozy. Judelet flip, fire. Kimiko yelled, before she jumped at Catnap and flipped, making blue fire appear around her legs, as she heel dropped at Catnap. Shard of lightning. Sasuke and Catnap yelled, before in a flash of lighting they were gone, as Kimiko hit the ground, causing a small crater from her kick. Okay, I want that Wu, Naruto said with a chuckle, as he was impressed with the shard of lightning. This is most disappointing, Omi said with a frown, as he finally got the squirrel out of his pants. Yeah, this speed of light stuff is a pain, Raimundo said with a nod, as he tried to dry himself off from the bucket of water. I'm gonna kill her. Kimiko yelled out, getting their attention. Everyone looked at Kimiko and paused in shock, as they saw that she now had what looked like a rainbow wig on her head, covering her hair. Oh wow, she got you good, Kimiko, Clay said as he chuckled slightly. Okay, let's all calm down. Kimiko, I'm sure you can get it off, Naruto said, as he approached Kimiko. Kimiko grabbed the wig on her head. But when she pulled on it, she felt it pull on her scalp. That LTHR wearing tart used glue, she yelled out enraged, as she tried to get herself free of the wig. This got laughs from Raimundo and Jack. If you two don't shut up, I'll be using you both for target practice, Kimiko growled out. Okay, relax. I'm sure we can fix this, Naruto said, as he tried to calm the dragon of fire down. How? She ruined my hair. Kimiko said, as she started to panic and start to cry a little. Naruto frowned at this, as he spotted Kimiko's tears and clenched his fists tightly, as a green aura formed around his fists. If you use acetone and hot water, you can dissolve the glue, Jack said as he finally calmed down. Where am I supposed to find that? Omi asked, as Naruto tried to calm Kimiko down by patting her on the back to calm her. It's a basic thing sold at most stores, Jack said, as he waved his hand dismissively. Okay Kimiko, you wait here. Sapphire. I need the golden tiger claws. Naruto yelled, as he looked at said dragon sleeping nearby. Sapphire groaned, as she woke up and looked at Kimiko. Wow, who pranked you? She asked curiously, as she looked at her hair. Kimiko growled at this, her eyes glowing with blue fire again from her rage. Wrong subject Sapphire, Raimundo said with a nervous chuckle. Sapphire shrugged at this, before she slithered off towards the vault. Later. It didn't take long for Naruto to get what Kimiko needed from a store in a city, thanks to the golden tiger claws. And while Kimiko was in the shower, the boys were all talking in the courtyard. This is most troubling. Sasuke and Catnap will be strong to defeat, now that they have the shard of lightning, Omi said as he sat under a tree, with his arms crossed. Don't forget the emo's eyes, that can predict what we are gonna do before we even do it, Raimundo said as he scowled. And don't forget the illusions he can put you in, if he looks into your eyes, Naruto said, as he sighed. I think we may be up a creek without a paddle, Clay said, as he sighed. Jack thought about this, and soon he paused as an idea struck him. We have a new Wu people. Dojo yelled out, as he slithered over holding the scroll of Shingon Wu. Okay, hold on. I'll get Kimiko, Naruto said as he got up from the ground, and headed into the temple. This got silence from everyone, as they watched Naruto leave. Okay, I got $20 that says he sees something he shouldn't, and Kimiko clocks him, Jack said to his friends as he smiled. You're on. Raimundo said with a smile, as they shook hands. What would Naruto see that would require Kimiko to turn him into a clock? Omi asked Clay curiously. Clay sighed at this, while Raimundo and Jack laughed loudly. With Naruto. Naruto approached Kimiko's quarters quickly, as he knew they needed to move quickly if they were gonna beat Sasuke and Catnap to the new Wu. Kimiko, we need to go. A new Wu has dash, Naruto was saying as he entered the room, and paused before he blushed strong at what he saw. Kimiko was in her quarters like expected, and her hair back to normal again. But she was wearing nothing but a towel, which barely covered her body. Kimiko looked at Naruto for a few moments, before she blushed strong. She then screamed loudly and slapped Naruto HRD on the face. This sent Naruto out of the room and slamming into the wall. Naruto groaned in pain, as he held his cheek and tried to not think about what he saw. When suddenly he heard a flash nearby, and when he looked he saw the others in dojo, who was holding his camera, which he had just used to take a picture. Oh yeah, this one is definitely a keeper, Dojo said with a laugh at Naruto. I want a copy of that, Raimundo said with a laugh, as he handed Jack $20. Nobody says a word, Naruto said as he got up, glaring at his friends, as he held his still stinging cheek. Oh come on, it can't have been that bad, Jack said with a grin, as he patted Naruto on the shoulder. Naruto removed his hand from his cheek, and showed he now had a fresh blue bruise in the shape of a handprint. Tarnation. She nailed you, didn't she? Clay asked as he whistled, impressed at this. Oh, Kimiko is most strong to leave such a mark, Omi said, with wide eyes at the brucie. Ah, the first lovers spat, Raimundo said with a smirk, before he and Jack started cackling madly. We are not lovers. Kimiko yelled, out as she marched out fully dressed, with her eyes on fire. Run away. Jack and Raimundo yelled together, before they ran off. Wait for me, my friends. I don't want to be burned by a crazy dog. Omi yelled, as he ran after his friends. This got silence from everyone, before Raimundo and Jack started to laugh even harder, while Clay and Naruto groaned at what Omi most likely meant. Kimiko growled at this, as she cracked her knuckles and ran after the others. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author KFB Anime 87 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.